Nice to see you all. Um, Thank you. We have Gareth in the background who's supporting us as well. Thank you. Um, I hope you can see the slides and I hope you can see us and hear us. And we are, as ever, a lifestyle medicine team here at Boots Online Doctor, and we're here to support you with all things holistic weight loss. And today we're focusing on cravings and how to really support you preventing that self-sabotaging behavior that we know can derail all our best efforts. Um, and yes, but we want to hear from you because you are a big part of these webinars. So the chat box is open. Please let us know how you're doing, how you've been in the last week. I hope that I can see the chat box. I will find it. Here we go. That's good. So do say hello where you are in the world, where you are in the country. It is probably raining where you are because it feels like it's been raining for everyone every day for weeks and weeks and weeks. But let us know. It actually was sunny this morning, so I shouldn't complain. For me, it's gone grey now, of course. But yeah, we did have some sun. How are you, Alison? And is it sunny where you are?
I'm good, thank you, Sam. Yes, I'm in London today, and the sun was shining this morning. But I'm assuming you're in south of the country, Sam.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
in
yeah.
Brighton. We had a gorgeous sunny morning, but it's gone now.
Yeah, it's gone here too.
Okay, I don't feel so bad. All right. Yeah, raining in Nottingham. Mary and Milton Keynes. Hello, everyone. You're so welcome, and we're going to get cracking. We've got the record button pressed. Excellent. Thank you, Gareth. And let's get going, talking all about cravings. Oh, in fact, I should probably introduce myself. My name is Dr. Samantha Weller-Pilley. I'm a GP. I'm also a nutritionist and a yoga therapist. I'm also a coach, and I'm kind of obsessed with everything holistic. I'm doing the slides, so apologies if there is delay. And I'm joined today by my colleague Alison, who's going to introduce herself also.
You, Sam. Yes, I'm Alison Taylor Lamb. I'm a nurse here at Boots Online Doctor. And I've been with the organisation now for 4 years and been quite involved in weight loss and the services that we offer. And I had to mention a couple of things as well, didn't I, Sam? So, just to let you all know that if you do wish to put a question in the Q&A box, then please do so. And you are able to anonymise yourselves as well if you'd rather not have your name on display. That's absolutely fine. And that's also the case in the chat if you wish to add a comment in there. Um, but just a little reminder, as we do so every week, if you have any personal medical queries, then this forum isn't quite the right place for those. So we would advise you take those sorts of questions to your provider, your weight loss support, or please do message us here at BOD if we are your medical support for that. I think they're all my notices. Thank you, Sam.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you, Alison. Right, now next slide. Here we go. Right. So, how have we been in the last week? What wins or positive changes have you made this week? Let us know in the chat box. It's open for your questions. If you know that we have a question and answer section session at the end of this our short presentation. So, if you've come already with questions, do pop them in there. As Alison said, it's a public forum, so we can't answer very detailed medical questions, but we will do our best to support you as best we can. But let us know in the chat box what wins or positive changes you've made this week. Maybe you've noticed some habits changing. Maybe you've added protein to your breakfast and you've noticed that you feel fuller for longer, that kind of thing. I believe that we talked all about protein last week. I wasn't here. Um, some of you might be on your active weight loss journey. Some of you may be maintaining, and we want to make sure that you're aware that these webinars are really relevant wherever you are on your stage of weight loss. You might be just starting out, you might be midway through, you might have already reached a goal, and you just want to sort of the motivation to sort of plow on and maintain it because we know what a vital stage the maintenance stage is now. Let's see. Oh, that's interesting. Kerry says no change on the scales, but dropped a dress size. That is really interesting and something that I'm really glad that you've noticed because when we go on a weight loss journey, we're actually looking at that body composition change. So we're looking at where we're losing, sometimes losing inches, maybe around the waist or around arms or thighs. That actually is more telling than the numbers on the scale because it means that you're losing more of the fat tissue than the muscle mass. We're looking to shift that preference over to increasing muscle mass, decreasing fat tissue, which is going to support you in the maintenance phase as you advance towards your goals. And we've got a little poll here just to start us off, all about cravings and how often if you recognize that you experience cravings at all, when those are, how they might interfere with your efforts. So. Just take a few moments. All your answers are confidential. We just see numbers from this end. So I'll give you a few more seconds to fill those in for us. That'd be great. And we'll have a look at your answers. But today we are talking all about cravings. I'm talking all about understanding and controlling cravings, what causes them, and we don't want our cravings to control us or our behavior. But we know that cravings can play a major role on our food choices and have a major impact on our waistlines, of course. So we can define what a craving is by thinking of it as a strong desire to eat a specific food, often leading to actual consumption of that food. And typically, our cravings are for those high energy foods like sweet treats like chocolate, less healthy snacks like crisps, chips, and even for desserts. Okay. Um, and we can think about why we experience those cravings. They arise due to stress. Stressful situations can trigger cravings, and also our eating habits. So regularly having those highly palatable, high sugar foods or high carbohydrate foods really can create that habit of craving them. Okay, eating sugary foods can also trigger those blood sugar spikes and crashes, okay, which leads to further cravings. And I will be talking about that kind of roller coaster that we can inadvertently get on very shortly. The issue has become more common in modern times due to constant food availability and the flood of food-related messaging that we get through images on social media, TV advertising, and promotions in supermarkets, which we often see. The promotions are never on the healthy stuff, really, are they? They're always on kind of the more junky side of the scale. So the messages that we see frequently highlight those very palatable foods, but often these foods are nutritionally very poor, and they can lead to obviously increasing our BMI, which we are looking to decrease on this journey. Um, we know that stress has been shown to increase our propensity for cravings because it's thought to be because of the increased cortisol levels, which can drive those cravings, especially in women, unfortunately. Historically, it's thought that stress affects men and women a little differently. Um, and long-term stress, so chronic stress, is linked to a variety of different health-related issues, including anxiety and depression. And these can also lead to that more comfort eating, craving kind of behaviors. So you might recognize some of those behaviors yourself. Sometimes it really helps to sort of put them in perspective of kind of some of the biochemistry behind them. Um, Okay. A bit more on stress. Okay, so I mentioned stress before. So we've got some hormones that impact our appetite. Leptin is one of them. Um, Leptin is one of the hormones, or a major hormone that triggers our sense of fullness, of having had enough to eat. We don't need to eat anymore. There is a phenomenon known as leptin resistance. Okay, this can really affect our appetite regulation, leading to loss of appetite control and that sensation of fullness when we're eating. Okay, and there are three main reasons why we become leptin resistant. Okay, stress, sleep, and eating those high glycemic, highly palatable, nutritionally poor foods. Okay, we're going to be talking a bit more about this. Also, carrying excess weight, being overweight, can increase our tendency towards leptin resistance. Okay. In leptin resistance, we do not respond to that full signal in the same way, that off signal for our appetites and for eating. And as a result, we are much more likely to overeat. Okay. If we become resistant to this trigger, it can have a lot of negative impacts on the body. For example, the body not being able to respond well enough to insulin, which is our sugar storage hormone, which leads to insulin resistance on top, which, as we know, can go on to cause type 2 diabetes. Um, Alison is going to talk a bit more about increasing leptin sensitivity in just a moment, but I just wanted to address stress because we have a whole webinar on stress, and it's an important factor to consider as it can increase our cravings. When your body is under stress, that production of cortisol increases, and this leads to increased hunger and cravings for those high fat, high sugar, highly palatable foods. Um, and it can disrupt the appetite. Um, we also um, we also can have this tendency to soothe our stress with these kinds of foods as a kind of reward. And this is a learned behavior. Okay, this reward eating, it can become a self-soothing technique. Okay. Sleep is a big one. We have a whole webinar again on sleep. But if we know that if we have reduced sleep or we don't get sort of an average of 7 hours of sleep every night, um, leptin resistance can be a factor. Okay. Just to come back to this slide, um, cortisol will trigger cravings, and we're likely to crave those sugary, salty, fatty foods. Okay, but all is not lost. We have some remedies to talk to you about.
We have got some remedies, absolutely, Sam. So, thinking about how we can boost our leptin sensitivity. Now, as Sam briefly mentioned, leptin plays a key role in regulating hunger and cravings. So, when this signaling rather is working correctly, our cravings are reduced. When it goes awry, however, factors such as what Sam's again already touched on, so resistance, low leptin levels, going back to poor sleep, always a factor, and stress, of course, can increase those cravings. And this makes it harder to then control our food intake. And when we do struggle to control our food intake, we are more likely to reach out and grab those foods that actually we know we shouldn't be grabbing. Um, Cravings are a little bit different though to overeating. So if we think about cravings as in something we're focused on and we want a lot of all in one go, and we tend to eat that craving, that food that we've got our mindset on very quickly over a short space of time. So it is different to overeating. But managing lifestyle factors can help improve our leptin function, and so then reduce those needs to crave for certain foodstuffs. So as this slide lists here, so having a balanced diet, and I can see a comment already in the chat there about increasing protein, has such a huge impact on satiety. And if our satiety is maintained at a good level consistently throughout the day, it reduces our need to grab those foods that we just crave and want to eat all in one go. And then having those moments when we do crave for food can really put us off kilter and derail us off of our whole weight loss journey, certainly for that day, potentially longer term if those cravings keep creeping in. So protein, keeping or steering more towards those healthy fats and fibre-rich foods. And I know, Sam, we do talk about fibre and protein likewise a lot throughout all our webinars, don't we?
We do.
Because all of those four factors can help regulate our appetite and yeah, prevent our cravings creeping in. Regular exercise is always a thing, and we'll always mention this. Regular exercise especially, does improve leptin sensitivity, and so to help regulate our hunger signals. So hopefully lots of you are focused on increasing your exercise activity. Quality sleep again, mentioned that an awful lot too. Please do aim if you can for 7 to 9 hours. Keep that circadian rhythm functioning to the best of your ability. Again, we all know that's a bit difficult, especially for those of us who work shifts, possibly. The clocks changing have an impact when we have to get up for work, when we have to go to bed, um, depending on so many different factors. So we realise that it is quite tricky to keep a good circadian rhythm, but it's so important. Um, to help us with our weight loss and all those regulatory aspects that we talk about. Avoid processed sugars, of course. Reducing our sugar intake does help decrease leptin resistance, something else to remember and bear in mind. And managing our stress. We know that chronic stress increases cortisol. That can then disrupt our leptin signaling and trigger cravings as well. But um, again, stress, it's a funny thing, stress, because stress can actually go both ways. Stress can also cause weight loss as well as weight gain. So it's really important to try and manage stress as best you can. Um, and just mentioning a little mention for those who are currently on their maintaining part of their weight loss journey, or maintenance part rather. A focus on keeping leptin sensitivity strong rather than pushing for more weight loss is quite key in this maintenance phase. So we're thinking about regular meals, uh, lots of movement, good sleep, all those basics to try and help keep your hormones at a balanced level. I think I've probably covered most things there.
Yeah. Thank you, Alison. Thank you. I was just looking at some of the comments in the chat box. So thank you everyone for your really helpful um, comments. And glad to see that some people are getting some sunshine in the country, so that's nice. Um, yeah, drawing up a plan of action is fantastic. Protein making a big difference, as you've already mentioned, Alison. Um, and a book recommendation. Okay, sleep. Yes, we do talk about sleep, and this is. I hope that this is helpful because these are, we talk about the basics, and everything kind of overlaps. You find this when you're working in anything holistic, sort of the basic things that we all know are really good for us. Good sleep is good for us. Managing our stress is good for us. All of that sort of thing. I hope that by giving you the reasons why, so how your body is working behind the scenes, the physiology of it, actually gives it a bit more substance, these sort of things that kind of this, oh yeah, well, eat well, avoid sugar, da da da. You know, it there is actually really good evidence of this is how your body works, and this is why the things that we're advising you work. So you might, if you've been a frequent flyer at our webinars, you may well have seen these graphs before. But they're so fundamental. I really want to make sure that everyone here understands them. So please ask questions if I'm miss anything in the explanation. So this is all about blood sugar regulation, and this is kind of the foundation, really, of what we what we advise you to how we advise you to eat, I guess, is to maintain a consistent blood sugar over the day. So you're not having these wild swings. That is the essence of what you can see on these charts in front of you. So I'm going to just talk about the hyperglycemic chart. So this is the high glycemic, which just means high sugar. So high sugar intake chart, which is the red pink side. So you can see that this graph looks like a roller coaster. Okay, we don't want to get on a roller coaster every day of blood sugar. All right. So we can see that if this was, let's say, an example of this person maybe had a sugary donut for breakfast. Okay, and what they had, I'm being facetious saying that, but let's just use that as an example. So that's what they had first thing, and it rocketed up their blood sugar straight off, first thing in the morning, their blood sugar went right up. Okay. So because that is a high carbohydrate, high sugar breakfast, okay, your body is going to metabolize it really quickly. So it's going to break it down, digest it really fast, break it down into its component sugars. So those are basically those carbohydrates, those processed carbohydrates are broken down into component sugars. So unsurprisingly, your blood sugar will go up really quick. But your body is very clever. Your pancreas will release a load of insulin to tidy away that high blood sugar because it does not want that high blood sugar level, okay? Because it wants to keep your blood sugar level between a very stable range or within a stable range. And that sort of big jump up is no good. So the body will try and clear it away. What can happen if it's a whole load of sugar that has just entered the body and into the bloodstream? The body can overcompensate. And that's what you might have noticed as that blood sugar crash. Okay. So it's going to drop right down. So that black horizontal line you can see in the middle is kind of your stable, let's say the stable range, the bang in the middle of the stable range. But your body has released a bit too much insulin and it's cleared away a bit too much of the sugar. So it's that line of blood sugar, that level of blood sugar has slightly dropped below. So you might notice that as that sugar crash feeling where you just suddenly feel really hungry and like you're going to be searching around for another high sugar, highly palatable food to get your blood sugar back up because it's a kind of a I guess it's a physiological response to having a very low blood sugar that you are going to get hungry very quickly. You might get irritated. You might have this experience of being hangry because your body is just kind of alerting you to we need food now. Um, so that's where you can end up. And then, of course, if you go for another donut at, say, 11 o'clock, you're going to get back on the roller coaster and go straight back up again. And you can see how that pattern could carry on over the day. Okay. And I'm not saying that anyone here would be having 3 donuts a day, but this is basically what could be happening within your blood sugar balance system. Okay. And you could see that if you were doing that every day, how much you are kind of really whipping your pancreas into working really hard for you every day. And you could see how a diet like that, food choices like that over a prolonged period of time could really tire out your pancreas, let's say, and lead towards insulin resistance, lead towards type 2 diabetes. Okay. Now let's move on to the lower glycemic chart. Okay, this green side. So, and also, let's say on the red side, you're going to eat more because you're going to get those swings so often that you're going to want to eat more repeatedly over the day. Okay, you're kind of chasing your tail on that roller coaster. Green side, this is the low glycemic, low sugar side. So, say this person had, what could they have had? Sourdough toast, some avocado on there, maybe an egg. Okay, they boiled an egg and sliced it and had it on top, lovely, with a bit of olive oil, maybe some salt and pepper. Yum. Okay, so that is a high protein with healthy fats breakfast. Okay, um, so and also a bit of fiber and lots of other good minerals and vitamins in there. But let's say that was your breakfast instead on the green side. That is a lot more difficult for your body to break down. It's going to take a lot more time because there's fiber in there, there's protein in there. You've got some diversity in there as well, like different colors, different nutrients, different uh, just a lot more in that compared to, say, the sugary donut. Okay. So the body is going to release that blood sugar much more slowly, as you can see from the line on the graph. You're going to feel fuller for longer because the energy is being released more slowly. And your pancreas does have to work to get rid of, to pack away some of the sugar, but not very much, really. It's a much more gentle approach for your body. So over time, you're going to eat less. Okay, so then you'll probably be hungry maybe a bit later than your sort of 11sies, and then you can sort of think about having something else in a similar vein to fill you up for longer. And I can see from the comments that someone else has actually noticed that they have added protein and they feel very different to their morning. And I think, it's simple things like that that no one taught us this in school. So we are all forgiven for not knowing. No one told us. Everyone told us that, having a bowl of cornflakes was the best thing in the morning, which is basically completely carbohydrate, so completely very digestible, high energy food. So you'll end up on the red side. Okay, and we don't want that for you. We want that protein, we want that fiber in there to slow it down. So you can see how the pancreas needs to work less hard on the green side as well. So you can see how over the long term, we are not whipping our poor pancreas into a frenzy every day with those kinds of foods. So just bear in mind and think about how physiologically cravings can come about because of our blood sugar regulation. So if anyone does not understand these charts, please ask questions because it's a really important concept to get in terms of cravings, but generally in terms of how we work with um, our metabolism, our how we build our plate, how we eat for the long term to keep our maintain a healthy weight or to achieve the healthy weight that we're set on.
Which leads us nicely on to our next slide. Thank you, Sam. So emotional cravings then, and I again noticed someone in the chat mention how they are an emotional eater, which is really understandable. Because when we do crave, it is usually driven by emotional feelings and reaching for those foods that we know we shouldn't be having brings us these feelings which overrides fullness. So we're thinking about serotonin and dopamine. So these neurotransmitters they are our feel-good neurotransmitters. And eating junk food and all the foods that we know we shouldn't be eating can trigger these neurotransmitters. Um, and the more we feel good, the more we want. So if we can see similarly, as it says on the slide, to drugs, and we do mean some of the really highly addictive drugs here, um, the chemicals that we get or that are triggered by eating sugary foods, fatty foods, even salty foods, make us feel good, even if it's for a very temporary time. And let's face it, we all want to feel good, don't we? So it's quite understandable why we then do feel we need to reach for these foods. Now, as I mentioned before, cravings are very different to hunger. Um, Principally because of the reasons I've already said. We want that very acute, feel-good moment that these foods do provide for us. Um, and similarly to drugs, it's possible that you need to keep increasing that intake. And the more we go to grab these foods that do increase those feel-good neurotransmitters, the more we want. And gradually over time, we might find that we become tolerant. And if we become tolerant, our tolerance increases, we find ourselves needing more, and we feel the need to crave for these foods more frequently. So yes, cravings can be problematic, but there are things that we can do to help us with these cravings, emotional or otherwise. And a lot of them do sit with us having a lot of or trying our best to be controlled over what we're doing, the behaviours that we're showing, how we're treating ourselves, and to control it with the right mindset. And distractions, for example, can be a part of that, but I'll go more into that on another slide. So emotional cravings, and Sam, I know you mentioned this a little bit before. A lot of the food manufacturers do home in on this, on what we call our bliss point. And that's a really, that's a perfect combination, if you like, of sugar, fat, and salt. The very ingredients that we need to, or we think that we need, and can enhance our food pleasure. Boosting this reward experience then can override our appetite control. And then we do reach for the cakes, the biscuits, the crisps, and all those irresistible, well, we think they're irresistible food urges. Um, so the food industry, it's very much focused on that weakness in us, and that's where it focuses its profits. And they invest heavily in making products that hook us in, reel us in, and keep us wanting more. But so for those of us again in maintenance phases of our weight loss journeys, emotional triggers that resurface once the focus on weight loss fades. So think about your stress cues, lean on non-food comforts, and really simple things. And yes, we do keep mentioning these simple things, and many of us probably do think, actually, we know we shouldn't be eating all that sugar or as much sugar. We know we should be exercising more. We know we should be less stressed. We know we should be getting more sleep. But they are such fundamental basics to our success. And like Sam mentioned, this is where the research lies. So all we can do is keep pressing those points, try to keep them fresh in your mind as really effective strategies for keeping you on track. So, um, those of us on maintenance, um, distractions that take you away from being tempted to crave, such as going out for a walk, breathing exercises, even journaling. And these tools protect our progress far more than any diet ever could. So really think about those strategies that can help you distract yourselves from cravings.
Yeah. And things like phoning a friend or things that we don't think of as like strategies for weight loss, but other things that we enjoy that distract us that because cravings actually don't last that long. If we can distract ourselves and if the craving is an emotional one, but we can distract ourselves with something else or change our state. That is the thing. When we get stuck in a state of stress or agitation or upset, we can hone in on something that we've all traditionally found soothing, okay, which might be chocolate or crisps or whatever. Um, but how do we break that pattern? How do we create a healthier diversion? Okay, this will be very individual to each of us because we all have very different um, uh, ways of being. But I warmly encourage you to have a think, like, what do you have? What else could you be doing instead of going for those the unhealthy treats? Or could you have something swapped out? Could you have, dates and walnuts instead and not have a whole bag but have a small amount just so that you get that sweetness. There's not really the sort of thing you can indulge in. It's just sort of, okay, I've got that sweet treat, but it also had some fiber in it. If I had a nice big walnut with that as well, then you're getting a load of nutrients as well as some proteins. You've got some good minerals in there too. So, there are ways around and having knowing, for example, if you can predict it, if you know you're going into a stressful week at work, right? Okay, how do I prepare? And I know that I will get stressed in the evening, so therefore, what have I got on hand that will soothe me, or what else can I do? Can I go out and meet a friend and I don't know, go for a walk or go for a swim or whatever it might be? Whatever fits into your life. Can I just ring a friend? That always makes me laugh, and will that distract me? That's changing your state. Okay. Thank you, Alison, for talking through that. Um, so we'll talk a little bit about those of us who are in the maintenance phase. Oh, I just wanted to say, I was having the poll answers from the beginning that many of us, some of us here do not suffer from cravings, and that is wonderful. But most of us do either daily or a few times a week. Um, what other answers do we have here? Um, and there are, over half of us find it that either it's a major challenge and or managing sometimes. Okay, so I think cravings is quite a big thing to most of us here. And there's some good levels of awareness here of what triggers those cravings, seeing those tempting foods or treats being in social situations or celebrations where it's available. Alcohol, lowering inhibition as well. High stress, also a lot of us have noticed that. And having not slept well can influence that. And most of us here seem to have a sweet tooth. Um, but yeah, bread and pasta seem to be derailing us, and salty foods as well. Um, Thank you for doing those with that right at the beginning. That's really helpful for us to know. Um, so cravings and maintenance. Um, Maintenance is a really important phase, and I would say even more important because this is the long term, um, even more important than the acute phase. So being aware that cravings may return when the sort of more rigid structure of the active weight loss stage is kind of fading into the background a little bit. So we really want to look at revisiting routines every few weeks, just so to make sure that we are maintaining those healthy patterns that we developed in the active phase. Making sure we keep those healthy foods in plain sight, and those treat foods are planned, and they're not forbidden. So we're not sort of talking about, never having a piece of birthday cake ever again in your life. That doesn't, we have to accept that we have lives, everyone has birthdays and celebrations and that sort of thing. And we want to be part of that. We know that food is such an important part of our life, of culture, that we don't want to feel like we're missing out. But we're really looking at that 80-20 rule. So 80% of the time you are really maintaining um, your commitment and maintaining the healthy patterns that you've developed. And 20% of the time there is a bit of leeway. Okay. But we want to make sure that stays consistent. Okay. Because we don't want those old habits and eating patterns to slide back in. Okay. So it might be that creating a new weight loss stability goal would be helpful. Planning little check-ins with yourself, maybe a bit of reflection every week, thinking about meal prep maybe on a Sunday, hydration reminders to keep your new habits alive. So Alison's going to talk all about how to eat to avoid cravings.
I just wanted to make a comment about, we had a comment in the chat
Mm,
about where I think that cravings are rather more oh, how do I
psychologically
say
based.
that? Yeah, sorry, I was thinking it the other way, that they're more physiological, biologically based. Um,
I
but
think you covered that, didn't you, with your
yeah,
emotional eating? So I think that's a really
yeah,
good comment. Absolutely. I talked about the physiological side and the blood sugar balance and
yeah,
leptin, and Alison talked about the emotional side, which we know is huge. Dopamine, we know the dopamine reward system is completely governs so much of what we do, but other things set off dopamine, not just food. So we have to, that's why we talk about what are your distractions? What other things do you really enjoy that soothe you? Like talking to your friends, playing with your children, playing with your pets. There are other things that release dopamine and give you that sense of reward and happiness that we all look for.
yeah, no, absolutely. But yeah, certainly very much psychologically based as well. Um, okay, so oh, I've lost where I am. 2 moments.
Okay.
Okay, so sorry about that. How to eat to avoid cravings. So I guess this is the big thing. This is the big anchor, isn't it? What sort of foods do we need to be eating to try and steer us away from those cravings and avoid them altogether? And again, we mustn't forget about distraction tactics as well. These are equally as important as understanding what foods to avoid. So please do swap our natural low sugar foods or swap to natural low sugar foods. Apologies for that low glycemic benefit. And I know it's very easy, isn't it, to eat those sugary foods, but there are many foods out there which have natural sugars in them and are overall more healthy for us, or actually keeping away from those sorts of low or sugar intensified foods altogether and replace them with those natural sugars such as all the fruits. And other foods that have those naturally low sugars within them. Please think about having a look at our, if you don't do so already, our core meal plan. I think we're quite good at ensuring that that's available to everybody, and if by magic it just appears on the chat. So yes, if you haven't done so already, please do take a look at that. I'm pretty sure is this Mediterranean based?
So it's a combination of a low carbohydrate Mediterranean principles, because the Mediterranean diet is sort of the best researched form of diet, but we've combined it with low carb, low GI as well, low glycemic. So yeah, it's a really good basis to look at how you can build your plate, how you can plan your meals, and really go for that protein, fiber, healthy fats focus, and reducing the carbohydrates, which basically, as we know, can especially refined carbohydrates digest very fast down to their constituent sugars.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So do take a look at that. Make sure you drink enough water. Again, we can't say this enough. And again, I know that from the comments during the webinars that I've certainly co-hosted for, it seems to be one of the main priorities to improve for so many of us. So please do think about how much water you are drinking, and if you can increase that, even fractionally, day on day, it can make a huge difference. Adding lemon to water. Now, a small research study has found, and so too with apple cider vinegar, which is why that's on this slide too, may enhance blood sugar balance, and that it can potentially reduce cravings in association with that. So promoting insulin sensitivity, um, certainly cider vinegar, and then lemon and water has shown to possibly have a similar effect. Protein-rich breakfast, again, protein, more protein. Try and limit your carbohydrate intake, build up protein-rich dietary intake alternatively. And for many people anyway, there's always going to be those exceptions to the rule. But for most of us, increasing protein will sustain your satiety for longer, and the rest, of course, follows. And then stay consistent, try to stay consistent, should I say, with those balanced meals. So think about your food portions, what food groups you've got in your meals at any one time. Think about your nutrients, your vitamins, your minerals. Try and make that whole meal as well balanced as you can. And again, hopefully you should find that that has a really positive effect on your satiety levels, sustaining it much more throughout the day, and then of course less likely to pick to crave for the food. Because remember, cravings as well. It's also about in some circumstances trying to make up what you're lacking. And that really plays part with the reason for staying consistent with balanced meals, because nutrient deficiencies, hormonal changes, and metabolic signals can all have a part to play in cravings. But particularly if you're nutrient deficient in some way or another, you're more likely possibly to crave food that has that nutrient in it that you're deficient in. So again, really homing in on ensuring that all your meals are balanced and consistently so throughout the day.
Yeah. Thank you, Alison. And diverse. I think that's the other thing. I think some of us, I am definitely guilty of this, putting the same thing in the shopping basket like every week. And I'm always kind of, can get stuck in a rut. I think sometimes, diversifying a bit and trying something we've not tried before, and just making our meals a bit more interesting can be a way to spice it up, and get those diverse ingredients and minerals that we need.
Yeah. Do you know what's really refreshing sometimes? And I think it's so easy to forget how many of us have got amazing cookbooks at home that are just on the shelf doing absolutely nothing very much at all. Because as you say, Sam, we're so stuck in a rut.
Yeah, we've got our kind of
Children's baked food.
five recipes on rotation, and that's
Yeah,
it.
exactly that, exactly that. And do you know what? I opened my a new vegan cookbook I got for Christmas last year. I opened it up a couple of weeks ago. I wrote out, I found a recipe I thought I'd try, wrote out all my ingredients, and it was just so refreshing to go to the supermarket and pick off different foods from the shelf
Absolutely,
and try
absolutely.
something different. And do you know, it's probably one of the cheapest meals I've made since Christmas.
Fantastic. Yeah, and that's it as well. It doesn't have to cost a lot. We're very conscious that, money is a thing for all of us. And yeah, obviously home cooked is going to be far less pricey than over the long run than the kind of convenience food options. But thank you. So I think we've just got a couple more slides before we go to um, our questions. So sorry, we've taken a bit longer on slides this time. So taking control of your cravings. So um, I think we've already covered most of this. So checking in with yourself. Are you physically hungry, or is it your mood? Is it you're soothing yourself, you're bored, maybe you're tired, or you're stressed out. Um, we're really encouraging you to develop that self-awareness and recognizing your patterns of behavior, being organized with having healthy options available. So if you do really need to soothe yourself with food, well, does it need to be a chocolate bar? Could it be that you have a couple of dates and a couple of walnuts, and that will hit that sweet spot, but also give you some good fiber? You will get the sweetness, but you'll get some good protein and minerals from the nuts as well. Um, Visualization. This is something we haven't talked about. This is kind of a technique to kind of um, visualize yourself, you can use it for the whole of your weight loss journey, to be honest. It's like really getting it, really being in those healthy patterns, really having um that grip on your on your approach to foods, on the way that you build your plate, on the way that you snack, if you snack at all, on the way that, we're also thinking about drinks here as well, some of us have, and it was mentioned in the poll as well, cravings for fizzy drinks and sweet things in that sense. Visualization can be a really helpful way, a really helpful tool. Probably don't have enough time really to go through it here, but along visualization alongside mindfulness, being aware of tasting your food, texture, the different flavors when you're eating, really being aware of your body when you're feeling full. When you're eating meals, trying not to have the TV on or too much distraction. Just really noticing, even if your food is delicious, you don't have to finish the plate if you're full halfway through. If you want to, put it in a Tupperware and in the fridge, perfect. You don't have to finish everything on your plate. And I could go on about conditioning from when we're younger, but I won't because we haven't got much time. But yeah, I think those are all helpful techniques. Now, let's move on. There's a final poll here, but Alison, you're going to talk a little bit more about maintenance, and then we will go on to your questions.
Okay, so yeah, the maintenance mindset. And I was thinking really, when you're talking just then, Sam, about engaging the senses as well, it's so important um, to help look after ourselves and keep mindful. So as the slide says here, anchors. Anchors are so important, I think, for every aspect of our life. And if you haven't tried anchors, then please do think about it. Anchors can really keep you grounded and keep you reminding about what's important for you, what you need to do, and keep achieving on a regular basis to stay at that place that you want to be. So, on that, try and keep 2 to 3 daily habits that protect your progress. Nurture them, wrap them up in cotton wool, refer to them time and time again. Maybe have them on a little poster and plonk it on the front of the fridge or written wherever you will see it on a regular basis. So, 2 to 3 daily habits. Um, it's an achievable amount. The last thing you want to do, that any of us want to do with anything we're trying to achieve in life, is to set ourselves up to fail. So 2 to 3 habits, a good amount, a good volume, so you're not pushing yourself too much. So examples here, think about a protein breakfast if you're not doing so already. These are quite simple to implement as well. Go for a little walk after dinner and go to bed maybe a little bit earlier than you do normally. So, whatever works for you, of course, they're just three examples, but three fairly reasonably easy changes to make that maybe you could really get into the habit of, and that will make a difference over time. So, that's anchor, adjustment. If you fall out of your rhythm, reset it kindly. That's all a part of being in a rhythm that works for you. Certainly, it's a part of maintenance. Okay, so if you fall away, gently ease yourself back, no pressure, but it's all about having an awareness of that and making sure that you do recognize it and can adapt and adjust it back to how it was. Affirm. So celebrate calm consistency more than numbers. And again, like our comment in the chat about reducing dress size, but not necessarily seeing the numbers reduce. That's a really good indication that something's working for you. So that should be celebrated because it isn't always about the metrics. They might help, but actually they can create an unnecessary anxiety as well. So think about things that you can visualize that really don't include the numbers. And that can be a real sign of success, certainly going down a dress size. Absolutely. And then lastly, there, advance. Keep learning. There's always something new to learn. Um, do attend our webinars. Supporting a community is really advantageous. And try new recipes, I've sort of alluded to before. Um, and do revisit your why. Why am I doing this? Why do I need to do that? What am I trying to achieve? Um, bring yourself back, always bring yourself back and revisit. And if you need to start again, you do that. No one's judging, it's your own journey, and you can put your own rules in place. But ultimately, you are in control of yourself, and you can do absolutely what you need to in the most gentle way to be successful at what you're trying to do here. Oh, I feel like I've gone off on a tangent now.
Thank you, Alison. It's all fine. We're going to get to a few questions. I think we both run over a little bit today, but that's okay. So just about our next sessions, about meal planning is our next one, and then we've got a more focus on emotional eating, which is a big part of what we've been talking about today. And we're having a new session in a few weeks' time. Really more of a Q&A session for anyone who wants to, because we know that the Q&A is really popular. Um, and yes, oh, we've also got what weight flow. Okay, so we've got a few maintainers here. Midway through, just starting out, is the majority of people from this poll. Thank you very much, guys, for answering. Um, so have a think, everybody. What are you going to do for the next week? What how have our words influenced you for your behaviours in the coming week? Let us know if you've had some ideas or something struck a chord and has made you want to change. We're going to stop the slide share now, and we're going to answer some questions for you. So, okay, so let's see what we've got here. Um,
Ooh.
Oh, someone swapped out dates for all other sweet treats. Fantastic. 4 or 5 across the day. Brilliant. Quite good satisfied. They are very sweet, but they also have a lot of fiber. So then that sugar is not going to spike your blood sugars as much. But if you want to lose those too, um, I mean, I would maybe you could have half a date with a whole walnut and just sort of reduce, and maybe you could go to walnuts instead, which obviously will have very little sugar in them, and sort of wean yourself off them like that. So maybe you could go for half a date with a full walnut, and sort of gradually change that ratio and wean yourself off completely, because you're right, they are very sweet and move, but it's a move in a great direction. I wonder what you had before. Maybe that would have been, chocolate or something. But it's a fantastic change. So thank you for sharing that with us. Someone has shared their low GI breakfast, bran flakes, banana, skimmed milk. Um, Brown flakes, yes. Um, I think bananas are great, but they are quite, of all the fruit, they are a little bit higher glycemic because they are quite sweet and carby. Um, uh, I actually don't advocate skim milk in general, just because it's normal milk. Does have a bit of protein in it, you know what? It's not. It's a pretty good breakfast. I'm splitting hairs. You might want to swap out the banana for some berries. That would be a little bit better if you wanted to improve things. But it's a great breakfast. I'm not going to split hairs. Well done. Um, uh,
It is a good breakfast. But I would swap the dairy milk for oat milk, but that's just
yes, yes, that's another option as well. But again, yeah, usually fortified, maybe a little bit carby, but it's a good breakfast. We do need some carbohydrates, so it's fine. Um, right. Someone has been craving lemon flavored food. Hmm. Well, it can be. I mean, it can be a signal of all sorts of things, having different cravings. But lemons are not a bad thing to crave. I would definitely go for actual lemons and actual lemon juice rather than lemon flavored anything. Or lemon water, or flavoring your water with lemon would be fantastic. Also might help you with reducing the cravings, as Alison was saying earlier. Could be a low vitamin C, I guess. Um, Maybe. It's a good question. I'm afraid I don't know the full answer, so I won't fudge anymore. Alison, do you know
yeah.
anything?
No, but I was thinking actually if it is because you're deficient in maybe something actually, then lemons isn't a bad way to replace what you're missing. Um, that's probably what I
Yeah.
could say on that.
Yeah, I keep
Might
an
be
eye on it and see if it is
lemons.
if it is sort of out of control, then maybe, that's a chat to your GP thing. I mean, vitamin C is water soluble, so we don't tend to store it very well in our bodies. So that, having enough vitamin C every day is important. Um, yeah. Uh, what snacks are reasonable to have when craving junk food or chocolate? Great question. The odd protein bar. All things are not made equal. So protein bars, I would just we advocate whole foods, right? So we want to avoid as much processed food as possible. So if you want to go for a protein bar, just look on the back and see what is in it. So if you're looking for protein, you're looking for nuts really in a bar, and you're looking for the protein content. I would avoid something that basically has 100 ingredients that you do not know what on earth those are. So you want to avoid ultra processed if you can. There are ways you can make your own protein bars, made of nuts and maybe peanut butter and that sort of thing. You could easily Google that. There are tons of those on social media. Have a little look. Um, I think that's fine. We all have to be busy and on the go sometimes, so I think that's a good idea to have something on hand. I would just look for a whole food option, even one that you make yourself could be a good plan. But just like look at the back, like get used to looking at food labels and how many ingredients go into something. Like um, processed and packaged foods often have a load of junk that, we do not recognize as food. So we want to go for the as close to natural things as we can so that our
Yeah.
body recognizes what's going on.
I was just going to say on that as well, don't forget distractions because sometimes do you really need to replace what you're craving with something else to eat? Think about going for your walk to distract your mind from it. Yeah, just another avenue to go down.
Yeah. And if if snacks at the moment, if you can't do the distraction thing, what I was saying earlier to the other chappie, changing to dates is great if you just need that sweet kick because it's got a lot of fiber in. Be judicious on that. I think 4 to 5 a day is great. I wouldn't be going too much more than that. I would team up a date with a nut if you can tolerate nuts. I think dates and walnuts are absolutely delicious. I would go with that. You could put a bit of peanut butter inside a
Mm.
date.
My fave, that's my
Really,
fave.
really delicious, or almond butter or cashew, whatever you like. If you're a nut person, I think nuts and dates just go brilliantly together. And that would be a sort of go, and those are so easy to just prepare and put in a little Tupperware in the fridge or on the side just to have with you to avoid that temptation of going for a chocolate bar. Um, can you have drinkable natural yogurt? Yes, why not? Quite good high protein. I would go for the full fat version so that it has the fewest ingredients and it has a good high protein count. I think that's great. I would probably suggest to put some berries in with that. That might be a nice thing to add to have that. Berries are really good for managing your blood sugar as well. Blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, whatever you like. Um, you could also have some nuts and seeds with that as well, just to give you a little bit of a boost. That would be good. Not all of us like eating in the morning, and that's fine. We're all a bit different. So if you're not a breakfast person, that's okay. There is more and more evidence coming out that actually we shouldn't. Well, it's not ideal to have a main meal late at night and going to bed soon after. So, it's better to have a bigger lunch or a bigger breakfast than a big dinner. Whatever suits you. Don't put loads of stress on yourself, but have a think about that. If you know that, oh, I'm the sort of person that has a big dinner at about 9 o'clock and then I go to bed at 9:30, possibly not doing yourself favors. But we're all a bit different. Have a think. And we have a whole webinar on eating, on what to eat, and then we have another one on how to eat. So that's all about timings and different intermittent fasting, that kind of thing. Apple cider vinegar, you could take that in water. I would add it to water. Absolutely. Someone said that. I would add just a teaspoon.
But again, I would suggest before buying a bottle, just check what's in it first, because obviously you can get some really good quality ones and not so good quality ones.
Yeah, ideally you want one with the mother in it, which is the enzymatic. It's really good for your gut. The kind of digestive enzymes in there as well, and bacteria. It's the friendly bacteria for your gut. So that's what we would suggest. Sorry, trying to race. I know we've gone. It's 2:02. Maybe we can do a couple more. I feel terrible. There's a few questions left. Um, da, da, da. Okay. Um, yep, I like the idea of a protein-rich breakfast. Yep, sourdough toast, avocado, and an egg with salt and pepper. Yes, if you're trying to be protein rich. So you can get like protein enriched breads these days. I mean, you can use that if you wish. You don't have to. Sourdough is quite good. I think it's higher protein than a regular loaf. So that's why I would suggest it. Anyway, it's generally higher in fiber as well. But uh I would stick to sort of one or two slices. I don't know where you are on your weight loss journey. So for me, I would have one slice and those and half an avocado and an egg, salt and pepper, and it's lovely. But I don't know what your appetite is like, so I don't want to say one size fits all. If you're going to be more of a two pieces of toast person, that is fine. And that's, a good, you can imagine that as like not all calories are created equal in a sense of that is a healthy plate. So it's not like it's a bowl of sugary frosties or something that is not going to give you much nutritional benefit. That little breakfast is going to give you a lot of minerals and vitamins and fiber and protein and healthy fats. That's a good plate to have. Um, Okay, so I think we're going to have to go at any moment. Someone's asked that I don't eat first thing in the morning. How will this affect my sugar spike? So you've obviously not got any sugar in your system. If you can manage like that, that's fine. I don't know whether you have some water or a cup of tea or something in the morning. Someone said they don't eat breakfast till 10:30. What's this doing to my sugar spikes? So you might get quite low blood sugar if you've not fasted, obviously, overnight and then not eaten breakfast. So just watch that, see how you feel energy wise. If you feel fine and you've had a cup of coffee or something, and if you have milk in your coffee, you obviously have a bit of carbohydrate there. We're going to you're going to have a little bit of sugar in your system, which is what you need. Your body runs on sugar, so you do need some of that glucose, but you don't need to have it in white processed sugar. Um, I hope that's helpful. I think we're going to have to go because we have run over time. Um,
Lovely comments and questions there.
yeah, really good questions. I'm
Uh,
sorry we haven't answered them all.
good.
Um, uh, but do come back again and come back with your questions, and we will endeavour to be more efficient next time. But you've asked some great questions,
There
and
is a webinar next week, isn't there, Sam? Someone just asked that question. Do you know reason why there wouldn't be one? I
I
believe there.
don't know a reason why there wouldn't be one. I know it's half term this week. We try not to cancel webinars this week unless it's a bank holiday, in which case it will be on a Tuesday, but I don't think it is. So we will see you next week. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Alison. Thank you, Gareth. It's been wonderful. Thank you, everyone, for bearing with us on our slightly inefficient way of doing the webinar today. But it is, I hope we've got all the info across. Um, yes, and we look forward. Good luck this week with any changes you decide to make or exploration and mindfulness and, really being kind to yourself when it comes to cravings. Best of luck, everybody. And we will see you again.
Thank you. Bye bye.